and Shine, the podcast where prosperity meets personal growth. I'm Krista. I support mamas with ADHD to help them work with their brains rather than against them.
And I'm Jessica. I'm your growth-minded guide who helps you align with the most inspired and intentional version of yourself in both life and business.
So in each episode, we'll dive into the mindset shifts, strategies, and business insights that fuel success, while also keeping alignment and well-being at the center. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a leader, or someone on a journey of self-discovery, this is your space to grow, thrive, and create a life by design.
In today's episode, we'll be expanding on finding your alignment again after a life change. This could be after holidays, burnout, grief, growth, a new season in your life, or identity shifts. We have one simple request. If any part of this conversation resonates with you, please like and subscribe to our channel. This allows us to grow and continue to bring you awesome content.
Yes. So let's really talk about and dive into the feeling of alignment and what that really means. I know I've been there. You've been there.
Definitely. I think it's common this time of year too, because a lot of people are starting a change in some sort of way, whether that be a new job or a new diet, new exercise program,
right?
New relationship, whatever it may be. They're trying something new.
Yeah. And just the idea of a new year, right? New year, you know.
So by nature, I think feeling maybe out of alignment with your old self and into this new person, new identity, could be a really big shift for people.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about what misalignment is often. It's a signal that you've outgrown a version of yourself. It's that nervous system's response to an overstimulation and emotional processing catching up with change. So this hits home as, you know, I moved and I thought that would be just a simple, for lack of a better word, thing to do. And I found myself very much out of alignment after the move. I mean, it was such a big shift and change, you know. And my nervous system was just all sorts of messed up. I really went into survival mode. So lots of overstimulation as well.
Yeah. Not only like your emotional space, maybe of making that change, letting that old house go, and the new one coming in, but also very physical change.
Yeah.
You know, moving all of your things into a new space, creating a new setup for yourself. You know, you have to get used to like walking down 17 steps now instead of 14.
Yes.
Like it's different, right? So, I think that's a good example. I think also throughout the holidays and things like that, everyone's going. Yeah. And in January, a lot of people have that time to like reflect and relax a little bit more. So I think it catches up with you at some point.
Yeah, for sure. And depending on your situation, you know, you see a lot of family. Are you being triggered? You know, have you set boundaries with them? And if not, how is that affecting you? Even if you have, are you, you know, veering away from those boundaries?
Right. Or keeping them.
Right. And that will very much affect you. And to your point, it's not always like a conscious thing that happens. Go, just get it done, do it. And then in January, it's like, oh, we reflect and maybe we're feeling a certain way. So I think this is a great time to jump into this topic.
Absolutely. I think, like I mentioned, holidays, disrupting your routine. You know, there's so many family and friend gatherings and networking events and things that we do along those lines. And it can really be a disruption, sometimes a distraction to what you feel is your path and your purpose and how you've previously aligned in life. And having those moments to kind of reflect on how far maybe off the path or which way, or sometimes you might not even know, but you know, taking a second to relax and think about how was the holiday season for you?
Right.
What happened? What boundaries were crossed or, you know, not even mentioned.
Right. I think you use the word disruption, or, you know, both of those. And that's a really interesting way to think about it. You know, did you go to an event that was more of a distraction or an obligation from maybe just saying no and staying home to help your nervous system realign, or to just give yourself a break from the go, go, go. Yeah, that's important.
And sometimes it's also going out and doing things instead of staying home and being like a hermit.
Right.
Because there's so much going on or whatever. But, maybe picking something to do instead of doing nothing and making no choice would be helpful too. So I think it definitely depends on the person and how they're wired.
Yeah. And checking in with your body.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think another major category for misalignment is after a big win or a big loss. And I don't know if you have a specific example in your life, but, in the finance industry, let's say you have like a very big month, and it's very common for advisors and things like that to have a very great month. Some months are not so good. But, not identifying or tagging your self-worth to a big month or a negative month or whatever it may be is super crucial. So I think those are things in my world that I see often is people can get defeated and lack of self-confidence and things like that. So it's important to kind of gauge yourself again to know how you can get back on the track for alignment and what your vision is. Yeah,
it sounds like it could be a roller coaster if you don't know how to talk about it,
monitor it, manage it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think it's very common for a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners that I work with and you work with. Like they have to be aware of these things, that you might have, a great month of sales, and then, other months might not be so great. So keeping your vision at the forefront of everything, I think is going to help with that misalignment.
Yeah. Remembering your why.
Yep.
So another common cause of unalignment.
So it works.
Being out of alignment is an identity shift. So, relationship changes, perhaps a new place in business, or a new role. For sure, that can be huge, especially like if you're not either ready for it or aware of it. I think that can, it catches you off guard, and then you're off the track of alignment.
Yeah. I think we've talked about it a bunch, but like, with your husband per se, like stepping into a partner role at his firm and having to change his relationship to his old role and the new one.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of shifting internally and externally. I'm sure like there's things that you do differently each day.
Right.
Maybe more paperwork or whatever it is, but
yeah,
it takes a big change, with that new role. So
yeah. And it's interesting because he's been working towards that role. We had been working towards the house, right? Getting a new house. So all these things you're prepared for, you're prepping for. But again, if you're not mentally and consciously aware of, okay, this is going to take it's a big change. And so how are we going to work with that? If you're not aware of it, it can really, really set you off. And then like we're talking about, all these things can also happen in succession. We moved, and then my kids started a new school, and then the holidays. And then I'm here in January going, okay, what just happened? It was like whiplash, And
but it was really like 6 months of the year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was ready for it. But, with these tools, we're going to talk about different tools, finding those people to surround yourself with, all those things that you can do to get back into alignment. But what we're going to talk about is also you have to recognize it first, So
yeah, I think that's all super important too, like what you said. And I don't know if we're ever really ready for the change.
Touche.
We've accepted the fact that this is what we want, but I think the change coming to us is and actually being implemented is a process that, it's like being a new parent. Like nobody knows what to expect until you actually do it. And like I have ideas about parenthood, but I don't know what it's actually going to be. And quite honestly, it scares me a little bit. So, but I think if you're not scared by it, then, you shouldn't go towards it. Like there's a reason why it's there. And, you have those thoughts about it happening because it's in your realm of opportunities.
Right. And so a lot of people freeze because of that fear of the change and because of the fear of what it's going to do. So, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And the growth too. Like, if you want growth, then you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yes.
And so that's kind of where the change comes in. But, and I think even too with the talks of misalignment and alignment, sometimes like they use the quote often in the spiritual community, like it's not misdirection. It's kind of like redirection.
Yeah.
So I think in a sense, misalignment can help you find, even maybe a better path. So I wouldn't discount it, but it helps us, once we can recognize it, that we're able to make the changes necessary to get to where we want to be.
Yeah. I always have to tell myself, usually when I'm misaligned, it just means that it's propelling me into something bigger and better. I have to kind of get low to get high.
It's not like rock bottom, but like,
yes.
But it kind of feels like, it's like you're at the bottom of a bungee going up.
Yes.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
I can picture it like you're tied into the trampoline and you're bouncing down and you're like, oh shoot, like something's coming. This feeling's not great. But when I get up there, like it's butterflies and it's, it's exciting. So, I definitely agree with that. You just want to make sure you're not staying in that lower place for too long, because then it can have consequences that you might not be prepared for or, that you don't desire in your life.
Right.
So, the last concept is really emotional overload masked as laziness. I think in our society, we have this like projection that everybody puts out that if you're not doing something, then you're lazy.
Yeah.
And so we try to take on the hustle and grind culture. And so I think it's common to be in a state of emotional overwhelm and revert to that kind of like almost fawn response. You're not doing anything, but you're not doing anything.
Right.
If that makes sense. So you're kind of just using it as a tool to save your emotional space into a place where it feels familiar and comfortable for you. And that might be retreating. But to the outside world, maybe it's seen as laziness, or you tell yourself that you're being lazy.
Right.
So
this hits home being a busy mom and talking to other moms, all my friends. It's just, there's just this constant overload, the burden that we carry, the mental load that we carry. And then we just beat ourselves up. Oh, we're being lazy if we decide to sit on the couch, or if we decide to go out with a girlfriend for coffee. Well, we really should stay home and do the laundry, do the dishes, clean the house.
Right. And doesn't that just sound ridiculous? Like you're shaming yourself for going to get a cup of coffee with your friend, or not doing X, Y, or Z for yourself.
Yes. I think what I have learned though in this growth journey is grace, giving myself grace and not judging. So not judging myself for actually going to get a cup of coffee that is actually going to, for, the pun, fill my cup. Like if I'm taking care of myself, then I will be more apt to do the laundry and not feel like, oh, it's such a chore, or just, do it, or enlist my kids or ask my husband, then I'm better able to show up as myself when I give myself something. And I think that really ties into the alignment aspect too. I really found myself, judging myself and going down that lazy path of the should path. Somebody said to me,
guilt and shame.
Yes. Yes. And that's when I know I'm out of alignment, when I start doing that again. Somebody said, what did they say? You shouldn't on yourself, or you stop shoulding on yourself. Stop shoulding on yourself. Shoulding. I was like, oh, that's funny and so true. Like every time you should, just reframe and check, check why you feel that and where that's coming from.
Yeah. A lot of times it's from our past beliefs that, were ingrained from other people. As we talked about beliefs before, coming from parents, grandparents, influences in our lives. And a lot of times it's just not our belief.
Right.
Like and it conflicts our intuition. So like on the inside in a situation like that, you might be feeling like, no, I really want to go grab a cup of coffee with my friend.
Yeah.
But society or, my parents who are hardworking, my mom might have been in the kitchen or doing the laundry, that thing is kind of, I should be following her footsteps as the matriarch of this family.
Right.
But our society is so different now. And to be fair, our parents and, in that situation, your mom probably didn't take the time to go have a cup of coffee with her friends.
Right.
So inherently, like you're breaking the cycle.
Yeah.
And it should feel rewarding in a sense.
Right.
Like not overindulging in it, but
right.
intentionally giving yourself the time that you need to feel like alive and a human and towards your passion and goals.
Yeah. And that's where the grace comes in, because we've had how many years of conditioning of seeing it and having it ingrained in us. So having grace for being that change, you know?
I like this saying that alignment isn't a destination. It's a conversation with yourself. So I was actually listening to a podcast yesterday and today, but just of how going back to yourself and making yourself up on the pedestal instead of, your husband, your kids, your other family members, partners, whatever it may be, to find that inner spark within yourself again. And it's kind of like what you're mentioning too, whether it's sitting down with yourself, reading a book, taking time to just settle your nervous system a little bit, because that's often what it is. Like that stress arises and that misalignment comes from the nervous system being all sorts of out of whack. And it's mostly because of what other people's reactions and things happening in life. It's rarely because of we put ourselves in that position.
Right.
But I'm here to say that you can put yourself in a better position by starting with yourself.
Yes.
And allotting that time and that energy, maybe it's first thing in the morning, directed towards you. Yeah. And so therefore you're getting the best energy that you're putting out into the world versus everybody else. And inherently, I think that's going to make everybody else even better.
Yeah. Because your energy is out there. You're feeling good. You exude that then. I'm glad you brought up the nervous system, because I want to go into like the different ways that our nervous system reacts and different responses that can happen in periods of misalignment. So let's talk about the flight.
This is common.
Yeah.
Especially today.
Yeah.
A flight response is really a distraction, right? So it's a lot of avoidance. You might just turn on the TV because you don't want to do your homework if you're a kid in high school, right? That's not helping you get your homework done any quicker.
Right.
And avoiding whatever topics you're talking about, as a kid, but also in adulthood, it could look like doing something and not doing a chore, or
scrolling.
Just scrolling is huge. No matter what age you are at this point.
Right.
Hanging out with your friends late Sunday night, when you know that it's not best for you to wake up maybe hungover or in bad condition, like on a Monday morning to go to work for the next day.
Right.
Just things like that. Just avoiding whatever feelings you might have if you were to complete a certain thing.
Yeah.
And I think in my level of consciousness, as I've grown and developed it, I've tried to knock that thing out quicker on, because it's only going to provide lingering feelings of negativity, fear, and things like that. And I don't really want to live like that. So, and it's been much more like, phew, that thing is done, out of the way. I don't have to worry about it. And it just feels better. Yeah.
I'm thinking about all the times that I've been in flight mode, and it's been quite a lot.
And we've all been there.
Right. But I think to your point too, it's that recognizing it and then saying to yourself, well, listen, if I don't do this, then what are the repercussions? And then how are they going to affect me long term?
Yeah, it's really about the feeling of, like you said, not doing something. Like, what are the consequences of not doing something versus doing something and facing that emotion, right? That's why drugs and alcohol are a thing. That's why there's, intense bodybuilders and people who are using the obsession in one way or another, whatever it is, to distract themselves from whatever feeling that they don't want to feel.
Yeah.
So that's just one of the 4 responses that can happen when you're out of alignment.
Yeah. Probably one of the more common ones, I would think.
I would say so, especially with technology today. It's so easy to do.
Yes.
To just, maybe try setting some boundaries with your phone or laptop or TV and just turn off at a certain point. Do not disturb.
Right. Yeah.
So.
So the next one is the fight response. I can't think of words. Yeah. Do you want to talk about this one?
Also very common, yes.
Yes.
So as we've discussed before in our other episodes, masculine energy is one of the 2 main energies that you can carry, and everybody has them regardless of sex. So masculine energy coincides with fight because when you are in that energy, you want to use your grit, power, and strength to overcome that emotion, right? And as we know, emotions are just energy in motion. So trying to overcome an energy with something that doesn't even work with energy, it doesn't make sense. It's not going to work. So you're not going to be able to get a result from that brute force towards something that's, internal.
Yeah. You and I have talked about this in regards to politics and just how, both sides are just fighting. There's just, everybody's just fighting and nobody's getting anywhere because it's not productive or.
You can't press the gas and the brakes at the same time is the best way to describe it. Right. So just fighting energy back and forth, and in this case, if it's somebody who's out of alignment, they're using that energy to fight against something else. It's most likely not another person, but it could be, could be, relational or at work, something like that.
Yeah.
But trying to use more hard work, more discipline, more power isn't going to move the energy in a way that you want to see the positive results from. Right.
It's the words are coming to me and then they're slipping away. It's because we're not addressing like the topic and the misalignment, then we go into these things and we fight people, things. We get ourselves distracted, and that's because I can't think of words. I don't know what's happening right now. I was like going somewhere with that.
It might come back to you, but my like analogy for it is kind of like a Band-Aid, right? You're putting on a Band-Aid for like something that is broken, and that's not really going to help you.
Right.
Like if you broke your arm, putting a Band-Aid on it is not great. Like you need to go have surgery on it or put a cast on. Like it's not an appropriate tool to use for this matter.
Right. Right. It's just covering it up and masking it up. I like to say we used to sweep things under the rug, whenever there was an issue and never address it. And that's kind of the same thing. Like if we keep sweeping things under the rug, then we're just going to constantly stay in these and fluctuate between these different responses.
Yeah. And in order to think about them as like kind of outdated methods of like compensating for yourself. So these 4 responses are natural, but they're not the most efficient ways for you to, have a good response towards the feelings that you may be feeling or avoiding feeling.
Right.
So yeah, they're outdated coping mechanisms.
Yes. I had to type down what I was going to say before. There are ways to like justify our bad behavior, right? You said like, okay, I got to push harder. I got to work harder. I got to, and again, that is the old way to think of it, or the old way that society says, just to be better, you have to work harder and you have to not be lazy and you have to like look a certain way to society. Your house needs to look a certain way, all of these things. And in part, that judgment and that like overwhelm from society really, if you're not aware of it, can just bring you down so much. Because as you said at the beginning, it's everybody else's thoughts, feelings, and emotions about how life should be. But guess what? My kids are so different than my parents' kids, and I'm not going to raise them the same way. And I don't want to, not because they did anything wrong, just because,
society's changed.
Yeah. I changed,
You've changed.
And I think that's like, it's awesome. To me, it's the gift I give to my kids, having worked really, really hard on myself. So,
yep. Yeah. I mean, we have so many tools now that we can use versus them, you know, from a long time ago. I mean, there probably, I know there wasn't telehealth medicine where you can talk to a therapist, or you can do, EDM, it was the EDMR or like tapping, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All of those tools that have been kind of new technology for us, we can utilize now to move past these emotions that sometimes aren't even ours, which to me is just crazy to think about. Like, I try to remind myself often if I'm feeling something, I'm like, is this the way that I'm feeling right now and up to my identity and beliefs? Or is it because I'm embodying somebody else's from an early generation or even a close friend or whatever it may be?
Yeah, that's a great question to ask yourself when you're feeling misaligned. Like, where is this feeling coming from? And is it me? Yeah.
And sometimes you just don't even know. You can't put a label on the feeling, but
true.
You've experienced it before. It's familiar to you.
Yeah.
And it is not to say that you won't experience it ever again, but if it came up, maybe you can put a label on it. I know my sister, she's in childhood education, and that's exactly what they do now from earlier on, like developing some of those coping skills, identifying emotion as a color. And not to be like punny or anything, but like, okay, I'm feeling blue today. Like, okay, well, what does blue mean?
Yeah.
And then, okay, this is what happens when I'm feeling blue, and these are the ways to solve it. So I think even when I was a kid, that wasn't available. No. And now they're doing that. I think there's definitely hope for future generations kind of coming into these same emotions and trying to deal with them.
Yeah.
So
my son the other day, we were talking about something and I was talking to somebody and he just looks at me and he was making fun of me and he said, "Acknowledge me." Aww. And I was like, well, that's funny and cute because I try to work on that. And we clearly, that's the language in our house, right? Like, we need to acknowledge each other and
their emotions. And that's a testament to you and your husband, to what you guys are doing. And definitely a good example for all of our listeners and viewers to talk about with their kids and just their partners and spouses and things like that. So
it's wild how what they're learning at a young age now, how much we can also learn as adults. Like even the colors, as silly as they may be, or they're simple, and it's like, okay, it's awesome. And I think society is moving more towards being open to therapy, counseling, and all,
mental health,
all of that.
Yeah.
But also it doesn't matter, because we're not like, that's a good thing, but we also need to just stay true and aligned with ourselves to do what we need and not worry about society.
Absolutely.
And now we'll get back on the rails.
Let's talk about freeze as one of the 4 responses. So this one is more so like you're in a state of staying stuck and not being able to move. I always think about like people's feet stuck in mud or like cold and they can't move. A lot of depression you can think about with this, laying low, reserved type of feelings and energy coming from this. And this might just be like indecisiveness. You don't know how to make a decision. You don't know where to start. You might feel like the world's against you type of thing.
Yeah. Or just, it's interesting because all of these are, can be together, right? You can start doing one thing and then it can lead into the depression state. And sometimes this freeze reaction really can be hard because you are just stuck. So how do you find your way out of it? Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit about how you can move forward past these, but I think one of the biggest things you can do is to just start moving, whether that's walking once a day, just maybe an hour, 30 minutes even.
Yeah.
Get outside if you have a nice place to live, unlike us. In the winter, you can go outside and have some sun probably and a nice walk even during your lunch or something like that.
Yeah.
Just moving. You can do it inside too. But
and changing things up, shifting things. So I would also suggest like making a gratitude journal or a wins journal, something to shift the negative low state to recognize what you do have and what you have been doing. And something small.
Good. Yeah, something good is happening every day, just by waking up. Like you're breathing and you're able to live a life, and that should be something you should be grateful for every day.
And not comparing against other people.
Right.
I have this, well, they have that. No, just like what you have, what gifts you have, what, even just the sun shining, like acknowledgement of what you have. So
yeah, super important.
Yeah.
The last response is fawn. So more of the retreatment, people pleasing. This is something that was very common for me, and I didn't know it was a response to feeling emotions or, avoiding emotions, but I think it's a certain level of discomfort within yourself and not trusting yourself that allows you to say, okay, somebody else's feelings or, words, whatever they may be, are more valuable than mine, are more important. So
I think just in general, after reading all these 4 responses, we've talked about grace, but also grace in moving past them. It's not going to happen tomorrow. You're not going to, write a gratitude journal and a wins journal and you're going to magically be out of it. Maybe you will. Maybe you will, but
anything's possible.
Everything is possible. And I guess I'm going off of past experiences myself in regards to people pleasing. It is a process to unlearn a lot of these things, but people pleasing in general. Taking on the emotion of somebody else. My girlfriend just called me this morning, very upset about what's going on in the world. And I like to think that I helped her reframe how to look at it. She wants to take on the world and fix and help everybody. And I was like, let's bring it in. What can you control? And how can you help things within your community? How can you help things within your home? Go even smaller. For me, it's raising awesome kids. That's one thing that I can do. But it's not gonna, her getting out of that feeling, that strong emotional feeling, isn't going to shift overnight. Does that make sense?
Right. Well, and the same thing too, staying in that feeling isn't going to shift things overnight, for her goals and dreams for the world.
Right.
And so I think it is important to realize that some of these things take time. There's definitely a way that change can happen.
Yes.
Within the world. And you're right, it does start with you. What can you do as an individual to make yourself better, and therefore hopefully other people around you? And if the people around you aren't being better, maybe you should, surround yourself with other people that are.
Right. Because they may be in all of these responses too. They may be misaligned.
Yeah.
And that's not helping you.
No.
Yeah.
Definitely not. So
no.
It takes a certain amount of awareness to realize that you're not calibrated with yourself and your alignment, but there are actually some signs that you are recalibrating in the right direction, and you're not a complete failure, which is what we like to hear, right? Yeah. Nobody is really a complete failure because you do learn from your lessons, but it feels like that sometimes in life. And it's important to be honest with yourself that, this might not have been a total win, but it's never a total loss.
For sure.
So
yeah, that's a great
for sure. And we want to talk about how it becomes productive, and it's going to feel uncomfortable throughout the whole process, but it's important to realize that no sort of growth is going to come unless you are uncomfortable, because you haven't experienced that particular place in your life or identity or role.
Right.
So it's not going to feel natural.
Right.
And there's a way to definitely, ease the process with it. But I do think that growth requires some discomfort.
Yeah, for sure. I say from experience.
Likewise.
Yes. So some of the signs that you're actually recalibrating are, one is the desire to be alone or quieter. I am a very outgoing individual, and I always thought that
No.
How's my hair? I always thought that was because that was the expectation, because that's how I was. Also undiagnosed ADHD, talking to feel better about myself. That I needed to be out. I needed to, that same feeling of go, go, go. I needed to do that. I needed to be talking to everybody. I must be the extrovert. And I find now that I really enjoy being alone and having it be quiet and honestly saying no to certain plans if I'm just not interested. That actually just feels right. And it took me a while to accept that, because it was shifting how I thought I should be, how I thought it should look, how I did things for so long. But yeah, it feels good.
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of exciting, right? You probably never felt like you were going to be the person that felt safe and comfortable by yourself. Yeah. And that's why you had to, talk to people and go and go and go. That quiet time is scary.
Yes.
And doesn't feel safe, right?
Yeah.
I've been there before too. And so it's important that you notice that and we're able to kind of adjust and be like, well, no, this is actually really cool. I'm not taking care of my kids right now. I am in my pajamas, in my bed, reading my book and just enjoying my own company. And it's the silence is enjoyable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel that too. For me, and certain parts of my life was the other way around. I hated being alone, and I was like, no, I want to go out and do things and meet people and no rest for the wicked.
Right. No.
Yeah.
And now
different part of life, but
sure.
Now I think I have a good balance of both.
Good.
So it takes time to kind of mature into that, but
yeah. And you said being alone with yourself, that if you're not comfortable with it, that was me for a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to carry yourself everywhere that you go. So it's important that you enjoy who you are, most importantly.
Yeah.
The only time you might not be is when you're sleeping. You're not going to recognize it.
Right.
So that leads us to questioning goals or priorities is another way for you to kind of recalibrate yourself from misalignment and also loss of interest in things that used to excite you. Maybe this is going out to bars with your friends. And now you're like, well, I don't really want to do that. I don't want to over drink and feel hungover. It's late. I'm not getting a good sleep. Those things could be any example, but that's the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah. But then it's also just to keep in mind, that's hard when that's something that you have done for so long and then you recognize, that doesn't actually bring me joy.
Right. Or help me towards my goals.
Exactly.
Type of thing.
And then you have to, it goes back to the people-pleasing aspect of people are not going to like that. People don't like change, period. So, they may harass you. They may try to make you feel guilty. Oh, you're not drinking? No, I just don't want to drink. It doesn't bring me joy anymore. And that's okay. And so it's recognizing that then you're okay within yourself. And there is such an empowerment once you get to that point of saying, I can be alone. That's okay. I don't want to go out to the bar and I really just don't want to drink, period. That's okay.
Right.
it's a good feeling.
It could be, other ideas that come to mind are like participating in drama and gossip. Like that's another thing. Like you can kind of, obviously it may be elevated consciousness there, but you just don't want to talk bad about somebody. Like that's a change for a lot of people.
Very much so, because what that is just a projection, and
exactly.
They're not working on themselves. It's just like, oh, well, let's focus on somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
But yeah, those two tie hand in hand, questioning the goals that you have and seeing if they're still a good fit for you. If they're not, then maybe it's time to readjust those goals, and that in turn can help you recalibrate towards your alignment of where you're supposed to be.
Right.
Another one is feeling pulled inwards instead of outwards. So you might have that like intuition or that strong feeling that you do just want to be, in your bedroom, whether it's watching TV, just relaxing, reading, or just at home. Not excessive outreach towards other people at that time. And it could be seasonal too, I think.
Sure.
A lot of times where we are, it's seasonal for me. But
this quote, the anchor thought that we have here, I had to send to a couple friends, and it really resonated with all of them. You are not unmotivated, you're recalibrating. So it's that mindset shift of, there's still motivation in there, but because of a big change, because of a big shift somewhere, because of something, you just had to maybe take a pause and recalibrate. So
I'm glad it's helpful for people you sent it to, because I think motivation also is so misunderstood. Like, I don't really use it for trying to get towards my goals. Like, I'm a very vision oriented person, and I know that motivation is not going to last. Like, it doesn't even last me a day sometimes, right? Like, I can't even make it through the whole day. I'm like, I'm not even motivated. It's 2 p.m. and I should be motivated because I just started being motivated this morning, but I'm not.
No.
And, there's nothing that is going to hype you up again. Like, I think there's almost exhaustion with rehyping yourself up all the time.
Yes.
From motivational things. And it's like, maybe that roller coaster isn't really best for you, and you need to find your own way to calibrate yourself. So I love that. Yeah.
That's a great way to say it. Find your own. It's individualized.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
There are some gentle ways to find alignment again. We talked about a little bit of the physical exercise and whatever that may be, but these are some small actions that you can do to help yourself return to the body before the mind. And if we recall from previous episodes, we know that the body is the subconscious mind, and inherently the subconscious mind is responsible for 95% of your life and what is happening. So
it's wild.
Only 5% is that conscious thinking like, oh, I need to start, a diet or an exercise program, or I need to find a job, like whatever that is. But the action behind doing it and the repetition is really going to propel yourself forward.
Yeah.
So alignment doesn't start with thinking, it starts with feeling. And so there's simple ways you can walk without headphones, just observe nature and your surroundings, feel your feet hit the pavement, stretch, breathing slower than usual, and getting into a good calm state with your breathing. Maybe it's meditation, something physical is really going to help.
Yeah. Then asking like what feels supportive right now. I think talking to yourself, as much as some of us may or may not like to do it, or journaling, it doesn't have to necessarily be all up in the head, but, getting it out, what feels supportive right now.
Yeah. And also, it doesn't have to be either of those two things, I think, because social media has such a big presence in our lives. Who we follow and what we're inputting from them is so important. Yeah. Like if you're following people who are negative all the time or gossiping and things like that, and they're not where you want to be, don't take advice from them, whatever they're doing. Don't put their behaviors into your life and make that an automatic thing. If you want to change, you want to make the things automatic that you want.
Right.
So it's following people that you want. First thing that pops up, it's not, a negative song. It's not, people just gossiping and complaining all the time.
Yep.
It's a different input and therefore a different output.
And it needs to be intentional because that algorithm is
that's what I'm saying.
on. So yeah,
that's what I mean. I mean, the algorithm is obviously so catered towards your individual self.
Yeah.
So you can use that as a tool, as a huge advantage if you don't want to talk to yourself or,
right.
Write in a journal. I think, be conscious of how much time you're spending online, but in the same token,
right.
if it's feeding it positive, informative things to you every day, I think overall it's going to help you.
Yeah. And you and I talked earlier and both of us started getting more physically active with things after feeling misaligned after the holidays and not, I'm going to lose 1 million pounds and I want to look a certain way. Just literally just.
There was no goal as far as a weight goal or, a measurement goal, none of those things. It was just, what can I do better each day? And I'm sure maybe those will come down the road, but it's about taking that first step and saying, hey, this is what I want to do to better my life. Or, I felt great once in my life where I was doing X, Y, or Z. Let me try that again.
Yes.
But not making it so hard of a goal that you can't keep up with it and sustain it.
Right. Right. So another thing is to lower the volume on shoulds. We already touched on this too. Misalignment also often comes from living someone else's timeline. So if no one wants, I like this one. If no one was watching, what would I choose to do today? It's a really good thought, a good question to, look at your day to day, look at what you're doing. And I think
inventory of it.
Yeah. For me, a huge shift was when I took life coaching classes. And one of the activities was the judgment aspect and piece.
Okay.
And I didn't realize how much I was judging other people, but also how much I was judging myself.
Yeah.
And so once that clicked, it was like, oh, wait, okay, so I'm pushing the judgment away, and therefore I can focus on myself, and therefore I don't need to worry about other people because really I need to worry about myself. So
right,
yeah,
I think that's what they say too about judgment, right? If you're judging somebody else for something, that means you're really judging yourself.
Yeah,
and so putting the focus back on yourself inherently is going to make other people be like, oh. Like the reframe, if someone's driving past you really fast and they're being reckless or something, maybe they have somebody in the car that is on the way to the hospital. You have no idea. Right. So it's just, how would you want to feel in that situation if somebody, might be judging you?
Yes, exactly.
Like obviously you're trying your best to get that person to the hospital.
Right.
In that case.
Yeah.
So.
Or, you accidentally cut somebody off. Oh my gosh, I didn't mean to do that. But, people get very upset about that. Well, if somebody cuts you off, then you're like, oh, you know what? I've done that before, or maybe they didn't see me, or,
Yeah, it's just the response to it.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it does come with a higher level of consciousness. The reaction to somebody's action is just how you perceive what they're doing. And obviously there's things in the world that are very bad and negative that we should have a bad response for. But everyday things, it's not so common.
Yeah. And we're going to put a pin in this because we could talk about that for another episode.
So revisiting your non-negotiables, I think, is also very helpful. One that just came to my mind was brushing your teeth, right? But maybe, you do that twice a day, but you do it more luxuriously. A trick that I also used too when I was feeling out of alignment was teaching myself a new skill with the same routine. So when I brush my teeth, traditionally, I'm actually right-handed, but I decided to teach myself a new belief during that time and brush my teeth with my left hand. What? So that way I'm doing the same thing, but I'm actually integrating affirmations or whatever it was into a routine.
I'm never going to brush my teeth the same way.
It just takes you time to like slow it down, realize the intention of what you're doing. You're still brushing. Maybe you're brushing a little bit longer because it feels awkward.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you just become ambidextrous. So it's a cool thing to do, right?
It's a win-win, really.
So I think it just comes in, with fine motor skills and things like that when you're younger. But this is how people learn. It's rewiring your brain in a physical way and also in a mental way.
Well, doesn't he say in Atomic Habits, James Clear, integrating a new habit into something that you already do, like brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
Or, putting your shoes on. Like, what are you going to do when you put your shoes on that, I don't know, run up and down the stairs?
In a different way or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that you can, obviously those are non-negotiables for you, but you're teaching yourself a different way to kind of feel as you're doing it.
Yeah.
But I mean, other examples can be, how you're eating or what you're eating. You're going to do that anyway. Maybe it's going to the gym. Is there a way to make it feel like it's very warming and inviting for you?
Right. And I feel like I keep saying this in every situation that I'm at, but like small habits. Like I think as a society, we want to do this overhaul of all these changes. And so just small things to help.
Yeah. I think being tied to the outcome is probably the, result of that. Thinking that we need to do everything all at once instead of small steps.
Yeah.
And staying calm too.
What?
That's going to be one of the most important things, right? During the whole process. So.
All right. We are, I'm the time, like, what do you want to call me? The time monster?
Time monster.
Yeah.
So one of the last topics we'll touch on is shrinking your horizon. So when you reduce pressure for your goals and things like that, it comes quicker to you because it's not under any sort of force or that energy that's so masculine. We really get into alignment when we're in our feminine energy and things flow better. So I would encourage people to really tap into their feminine energy. And therefore, particles and waves and in the world, it can collapse and you can experience something as soon as the next day. It's really insane. Like, for example, I was at the gym yesterday and just working out and, I was in a good flow state. It's at the end of my day. I'm not really worrying about work or anything like that and what I have to do that day. I'm kind of on the wind down. And yesterday I went at night instead of the morning, which is a little switch up for me. But I was literally thinking about a friend of mine and she walks into the gym like not even a minute later. And I was just like, okay, well, maybe I just have this calm energy and I'm in touch with my intuition, things like that. And she showed up. So like things can happen instantaneously.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, you're trying to get on this alignment track and it's going to take months and years and things like that. So like you said before, just have grace with yourself and enjoy the process.
Yeah. I mean, that happened with us too.
Absolutely.
When I was and I was like, I was just talking about you.
Yeah.
And it just feels good. It's like, yeah. So alignment returns faster when pressure is reduced. And you had just touched base about, taking away the outcome, the attachment to the outcome. I think that's a huge, very hard thing to do because I think we grew up that way. Our parents were attached. Our grandparents were attached. It needs to look like this. We need to be making X amount of money. Always looking at the future and how it should look rather than this is what I want and I'm going to kind of...
And your future or your life now probably looks a lot different than you had imagined when you were a kid. Just because things just didn't happen that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree with that. I think it's important to know what you want. Why you want it, but don't focus so much on the how. Yeah. Because things are going to change and they're going to unfold in ways that you maybe never even imagined that are 10 times better.
Yeah. And that's sometimes why we get out of alignment because we are so attached to that how. And then when it doesn't go that way, we just unravel because we're like, well, then it's not going to work out. And we just start
never going to
spiraling.
happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So the old version of you may not fit the life that you're building now. So as we touched on before, it's important to let go of that aspect of yourself as well and detach from that.
Yeah.
Because that person, you can't carry that version of yourself into the next version of yourself. Yeah. And it's important to reframe it as expansion rather than loss.
Yes.
And so you have that reframe there that you can go back to that and just think about being expansive all the time. You know, whether you just lost a bet or you lost X, Y, or Z, like you're learning something from it and therefore you're expanding as a human. So
yes, that's great advice.
So pretty cool. Some key takeaways. Alignment is cyclical. So you're going to go, one of the few things that I think we talked about that is cyclical. You're going to go off path sometimes, but you're always able to get back on.
Yes.
And it's important to rest during this recalibration process because if you don't have that time to rest and reflect, you're not going to be able to see the full picture of maybe why you got off the rails in the first place.
Right.
You know, literally in a train perspective, like if they go off the rails, well, then they figure out, you know, why they investigate it. They figure out why that happened.
Yeah.
So it's very similar to that
Great
in that sense.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny, as a society, it's January 1st. We're going to set a new resolution and then just go after the busy holidays. You know, if you live in Rochester, New York, you got a snowstorm every other week. And so it's just not necessarily, we're supposed to hibernate. Honestly, we're supposed to hibernate in these next couple months and that's okay. We just have to accept that. But rest is important.
It's a great time of year to just focus on yourself and I don't know what, I think they call it like some sort of color, but April is like the month for like uber success and joy and just kind of like rebirth. Coming into that spring season.
Okay, I get that.
Like golden April or something along those lines. I'll have to look it up. But
all the cool people were born in April too. You know what I'm saying? So
it's end of March, so I'm almost there.
Okay.
So
we'll allow it.
But you don't need any clarity to move forward. You just need honesty with yourself. And it takes, you know, looking into the mirror to figure out what happened, where do you want to go? And like we've said before, if you don't smile at that mirror, it's not going to smile back. So you are the creator of your life and how you want things to go. And it's important to always keep that in mind. And in order to be in alignment, it isn't about becoming somebody new. It's about coming home to who you already are.
Let's let that sit for a minute. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe to our channel for more content to help you level up. And remember, your journey to empowered abundance continues on the next episode. Thanks for listening to the Vibe and Shine podcast. Keep shining bright.